Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'll be sharing some new vinyls I added to my collection. I'll be tapping and flipping and tracing through them as I talk about each one. So let's get started. The first one we have here is "The Land is Inhospitable, and So Are We" by Mitski. This vinyl came with a limited edition slip. Has some embossed texture. It has her name here. I feel like the cover art is so beautiful but haunting, a lot like Mitski's music, which I thoroughly enjoy. Let's take these slip off and we can see what the album looks like. I think that the font that they picked for the title is so fun and quirky. I feel like when I look at this cover, I see like a painting or a photograph you would see at a museum, and then it's hung on a peach colored wall, and we're just looking at it. It's hung on the wall. I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's like printed on this. I feel like there's more depth and dimension. I think Mitski's ability to convey raw emotion through minimalist yet very powerful songs is really unmatched, and I guess I wouldn't even consider it minimalist because so much work goes into making such an incredible record. And I just feel like this album definitely feels like a deep dive into her world and exploring longing and identity and self-discovery. And I think this is one of my favorite projects by her overall. So if we open it up, we can look at this side first. it looks like there's the lyrics of each of the songs. I feel like tracks like Bug, Like an Angel, and Heaven really stand out because of how delicate the instrumental is. And I feel like listening to this album on vinyl feels a lot more intimate. And I think just the way the sound like envelops you as the record spins adds a whole new layer. I feel like a lot of, or not a lot, there's just certain albums that sound so much better in vinyl. And on this cover side we see is a picture. And there's numbers all over. We have 1, 2, I can't find 3, but we have 4, can't find 5, but we have 6, 7, 8. There's also looks like there's an 8 right here. 9, 10, and 11. There's a couple of trees and Mitskis running through them. I feel like this is another photograph that just feels like it's hanging in a museum, not just printed here. And we can slip the vinyl out. I think it's such a beautiful touch and attention to detail when the vinyl slip is also decorated. See, we have just an old farmhouse, and you could peek here and see the vinyl's pink, and it says Mitski. This is side A. We can actually, let's first look at the back, and it looks like it's the same. You do see on side B there's a tiny image of Mitski printed on the record. What a fun little detail. If we slip the record out, I think it is so beautiful that they opted to do this one in pink. I think it just adds to how delicate different parts of this album are. Definitely such a beautiful piece. And I'm very excited to play it some more. Then on the back, we have all the credits, the conductor, the woodwinds, the choir, additional piano, and we have some number of the songs, the titles. Next, we have Iron Claw, the original soundtrack composed by Richard Reed Parry. The cover is very interesting because, as you see, it's an old-timey TV. And it's just a scene from the movie where you see the brothers in one of the wrestling competitions. It's a little mysterious because I feel like it doesn't give you like an uneasy feeling or anything. You kind of don't know what to expect if you haven't seen the movie. Richard definitely brings so much depth to this score. And this one hasn't been opened yet. This is my partner's, and I think he wants to keep it in really nice condition before opening it up, maybe for a special occasion. Here you see it says A24 because the movie was produced by them. If we look in the back, it says who was written and directed by Sean Durkin. It stars Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, Harris Dickinson, Stanley Simmons, Mara Tierney, Halt McCollany, and Lily James. Iron Claw. You see the knee pads, the very step boots. Here we see it says Von Erich. And I think here it says Carrie. We have the song names. The Claw. 2 is the bent ear. 3 is Shaz. Chic. 4 is Harley Race. 5 is Update Dusk. 6 is the main event. 7 is Down and Out. 8 is a little cut off here. 9 is the Von Erich Curse. 10 is the Funeral. 11 is Getting the Ring. 12 is Alone in the Office. 13 is Relentless Laws. 14, it's a little cut off here, so it says Sleep In. 16 is Elemental Home. 17 is Carrie and Fritz. 18, The Family is Changing. 19 is I Used to Be a Brother. And 20 says Live That Way, and it's a little cut off here. I do have to say that this is definitely one of my top movies when it came out. I feel like a lot of people, if you didn't know the history of the family or familiar with the wrestling world or just didn't really see any of the trailers, are in for such a wild ride, very emotional experience. This is definitely a movie you will cry. It's definitely a heavy experience, but I think that all these characters did so well playing these real people. Next, we have Blonde by Frank Ocean. I do have to say this one's a true masterpiece. The cover is minimalist, and it definitely shows Frank Ocean in a moment of vulnerability, whether it's through emotions or just, through a shower, because you could see little bits of water. I feel like that runs throughout the entire album. I feel like this is one of those albums that will definitely leave its mark on people for decades to come. I was in my freshman year of college, or just about to enter my freshman year of college, when this album came out, and I have been listening to it since. It is such a staple in my rotation, and as you can see, the vinyl is still sealed. This is one of those rare occasions where I think we'll keep this one sealed for a while. They had re-released the vinyl I'll say about a year or two ago. And I couldn't miss the chance to have it in my collection. And it's one of those that I'm listening to it digitally, but I can imagine how beautiful it sounds on vinyl. I'm not really sure what I'm waiting for. I think it's such a prized possession, and I don't plan on ever selling it or giving it away. I think this is just something that means so much to have. Here in the back, we see that it alludes to having 2 discs, 1 and 2. There's side A and B, side C and D. And I can't say I have a favorite song here. If you had asked me when it came out, I could name a couple, but I think as the years go by and I listen to it over and over, I get something new from each song, and in different periods of my life, different songs speak to me in just different ways. I can just imagine, like, I know the emotional journey this takes me on listening to it digitally, but hearing this through vinyl might just be a whole different experience. I've heard a couple of these songs live when he toured in New York in 2017 or I believe it was 2017 or 2018. And it was such a surreal experience, definitely one of my favorite concerts or performances of all time. I do believe, though, people might have a different opinion on his performances nowadays, but at the time it was so beautiful, and I felt every single word, and anytime I listen to this album, I'm transported back to that festival. I think that it's just so incredible to have music like this in physical form, whether it be a CD, a tape, or a vinyl. I think we live in a time where a lot of just our media is digital or it's subscription based, and I think this is such a nice item to have because it will definitely last for a long time, and you can listen to it forever, you know? much as I'd love to keep tapping away at this one because it's so simple, but I feel like it speaks volumes. We're gonna move on to the next one. Now we have Cinema by the Marias. I feel like this record specifically was made for vinyl. The cover is so vibrant and cinematic. Pun not intended. I feel like it looks very nostalgic and dreamy, just very retro. I feel like we've seen a lot of imagery in magazines from the past or that look like this, just very, very surreal, just very like you're in a dream. I have been listening to the Marias for a bit now, and I love the way their music blends just indie pop and elements of jazz and I'd say bossa nova almost with Spanish ballads. This album in particular, I had listened to it completely front to back when it came out when I was on a trip in Mexico. And I had Wi-Fi for, I'd say about 10 minutes, and I immediately downloaded the album and listened to it for the entirety of the trip, and I consider it my soundtrack for that trip because it felt so romantic, and I feel like it took me somewhere new. It felt like every scene was, every song I would listen to felt like I was in a scene of a movie. It definitely had me romanticizing my life in that trip. If we look over and open it, we see Maria facing this beautiful swan, and I just love the imagery of a swan. They're so delicate, yet so strong. I know they're one of those visuals that are often associated with love, but I think they're such an interesting bird, so elegant. And I think the shot is so beautiful, the way that they're both just on this lit up rectangle or section. They're just facing each other. And we can take out the vinyl and see what the slip looks like. This is another one where it's so beautifully decorated to fit. And I think these two shots, I think this one might be my favorite. I just feel like it feels so delicate, so warm. Definitely a very peaceful image. The songs on this album are just a feeling. All I really want is you. Heavy. Calling you back. Hablé con ella. Un millón. Hush. Little by little. Spin me around. We have the mice inside this room to say hello. Fog as a bullet. Talk to her. And I'd say of all of these, I do have a couple of favorite songs. I think the mice inside this room is such a beautiful instrumental with Maria telling a story, and it definitely feels like you're just driving on the open road and you're narrating your life. I'd say that Calling You Back is such a fun rock almost type of song, just alternative rock. It definitely gets you up and moving. And I think, I don't know, this album is one of my favorites by them because it's such a cool, laid back groove. And I feel like every note feels so warm and alive, and you just sink into the music. Now we can put this one back. Look at the back. And here we see a close-up of the swan. I'm so impressed by her ability to be this up close and personal with a swan. I think sometimes in the park they could seem a little standoffish and not the kindest, but that's okay because they're just protecting their space, and her ability to get this up close is so impressive. Finally, we're moving on to our last vinyl, and this is AM by the Arctic Monkeys. So you can see this one's a little bit more worn. This has been in the collection for quite some time, and it's an album that I think really defines the Arctic Monkeys. When you think of them, you think about a lot of the songs in this album and this very iconic cover. I remember before even listening to any of their music, reblogging and seeing this fun little squiggly line on Tumblr and Twitter and just on the internet and it definitely led me into looking into them and, trying to figure out, what is this and what did it mean? And it's so fun. I feel like this white wave design definitely captures how sleek and like bold the energy of the music is. It's such a sultry album. Very, very late night vibes. I think this very, retro look with all of them having, slick back or gelled hair with the white button up and the tie is so authentically, I guess, British, for lack of a better word. But it's so, I don't know, this picture I feel like captures a moment of how I see the Arctic Monkeys. I can't say I'm a diehard fan. I think I really like this album and the one before, but stopped listening to them after this was released and after I got a little older. Here we have the album in its slip. As you can see, it's supposed to be in this slip first, but we can look through this one before moving on to the vinyl. And here we have the songs and their lyrics. And I think this is such a great album with so many iconic songs and sounds and lines. I think Do I Want to Know as the first song is such a strong beginning to a powerhouse of an album. I feel like on vinyl you really get that gritty, raw energy, and it just that energy really comes through. And you feel the depth of the bass and the punch of the drums as you listen. I feel like it gives those tracks like an extra layer of intensity. I always remember reblogging this specific paragraph from Do I Want to Know? It says, "Crawling back to you. Ever thought of calling when you've had a few? 'Cause I always do. Maybe I'm too busy being yours to fall for somebody new. Now I've thought it through, crawling back to you." And I remember thinking, this is one of the hardest lines I've ever heard. And Arabella is such an iconic song too. I guess all of them are. It just definitely brings back a lot of nostalgia when I look at the lyrics of a lot of these songs. I Wanna Be Yours is another very iconic one. I wanna be your vacuum cleaner, breathing in your dust. I wanna be your Ford Cortina. I won't ever rest. If you like your coffee hot, let me be your coffee pot. You call the shots, babe. I just wanna be yours. Secrets that I have held in my heart are harder to hide than I thought. Maybe I just wanna be yours. I wanna be yours. Let me be your Lessie meter, and I'll never run out. And let me be the portable heater that you'll get cold without. I want to be your setting lotion, hold your hair in the deep devotion. How deep? I'll be at least as deep as the Pacific Ocean. I want to be yours. Here we have the actual record, a very simple all black record. I feel like a classic album like this deserves such a classic and timeless disc. Side 1 has Do I Want to Know, Are You Mine? One for the Road, Arabella, I Want It All, #1 party anthem. And side 2 has Mad Sounds, Fireside, Why'd You Only Ever Call Me When You're High, Snap Out of It, Knee Socks, and I Wanna Be Yours. We could put this one away before checking out the back of the that looks like it's just a lyric sheet. And the back of this one is just very simple, giving us the songs, which side they're on. And we have the Arctic Monkeys. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed these sounds and a closer look at some of my vinyl collection. Please let me know if you'd like to see more. There are plenty where that came from, and I'd be more than happy to share and talk about them a little more. Until next time.